All right. Unboxed the Big King 7-inch spotties. Got the plug and play kit out. A couple of adapters. I'm not a massive fan of long wiring shoved up everywhere, so when I install this, I'll probably cut it all back and join it and heat shrink it back together. Okay. Got to modify the front bar to fit them. I bent this bar a few years back, so I replaced it and I just chucked a little Ironman 4x4 light bar on there. So I'm going to have to take it off, but the spotties are quite big and I want them to sit back a fair way. Probably sort of 100 and 125 mil back and as wide as I can, just to keep the cooling into the radiator nicely. But a bit of backstory, I've just had this car back on the road after 9 years of off the road. I've just spent the last 12 months rebuilding it down to the chassis, and after 1 week on the road doing a couple of checks, we got ourselves a couple of busted shackle rubbers in there, one on that side, and there you go, it's a bit better there, sort of even coming out of the leaf spring. So I'll have to tackle that first, I reckon. All right, they're out. They're pretty flogged out. So these were the original bushes that were in the car before I rebuilt it. This used to be a former competition car. So they've been in there for quite a few years. I knew they would go, so I had these ones ready to go. Didn't think it'd happen in a week, but that's the joys of old cars. Just chuck these bad girls back in. I'll chuck a bit of grease on them and ripper. Pretty easy job in this car. All we got is two 14mm nuts. Bang them out. Just take the weight off the suspension, pull it out, pull the shackles out. Done. 8 new bushes, ready to rock and roll. Well, I may as well do a rundown of the car. It's a 1995 model Suzuki Sierra SJ70 wide track model. It was once a soft top in its time. I've since converted it to a hard top. That's what's happened in the latest rebuild. It was once a competitive off-road little Suzuki Sierra. Here's a shot of it here, actually. That was it, you know, once upon a time, a few years ago. So I've since rebuilt the car. I took it all the way back down to the chassis, new body, had it sandblasted and painted by a local fella out here, and picked up some SJ50 seats, retained all the original dash. It's got a ARB air compressor, front air locker in it. It's actually a rear air locker that's in the front. I run Coromoly axles and CVs in the front, which gives you a bigger spline count. The air compressor's up under the firewall there. It was once up on top of the guard here in its former life, but I want to build an airbox for it and a snorkel, so I needed that real estate. But anyway, engine is a G16V for the Suzuki guys. That's a 1.6 litre fuel injected engine out of a Suzuki Vitara. Runs a G16B radiator, and I made a custom aluminium fan shroud there, and I jammed a 16-inch spale thermo on it, so that keeps it pretty cool. Used to have a heating issue with it when I first did the car, but it doesn't seem to have that anymore. So I've just sent it off a of a temperature switch out of the thermostat housing, so it comes on and off on that. Yeah, bit of a rundown. All right, now I've got the ARB bar off the car, make it a little bit easier to work on. Just chucked a tack in it, hold it to the bench there. Use a little Unimig Viper, just a Total Tools special. I think it was around $800 with the little trolley. Gas was obviously extra. Purchased the helmet. It's a great little unit. I only use gas MIG on it at the moment. I haven't quite made it to TIG spec yet. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take these mounts off I put on there a few years ago, remove this light bar. There was a ARB bar through here that had mounts on it, and I since bent that in a few competitions, so I just made this up one weekend before I went away. But also, ARB Design, they've never put a UHF mount on here, aerial mount, so I'm going to be doing that while I've got the bar off the car. So let's crack into it. All right, so that's all been cut off and removed from the bar. I've since cleaned up where the old welds were and sort of cleaned up the bar a bit more where I'm going to be welding on the new brackets. So the 7-inch Kings lights, they have a 100mm base on them. So I've grabbed this bit of 100 by 50mm steel from the father-in-law's steel pile of something I haven't kept here. So anyway, he won't miss that. So what I'll do here is I'll make up a couple of sort of longish brackets, but I'll sort of retain the folded edge. So I'll sort of cut up on this line and scallop it out to suit the bar, and so it gets a nice weld around there, a bit of strength in it. So let's get cracking on that. I've just gone ahead and mocked up where I want the lights to sit. So I've got them sitting roughly 140mm back, sort of from the center of from that bar. I quite like the look. I wanted to get that little bit extra width on it, just so it keeps a bit more flow through the radiator. But I didn't want them sticking quite right out of the bar, so they're just sort of coming through the top edge of the bar there. I'm happy with that. That'll allow for a bit of adjustment on the bracket and whatnot, and any animal strikes, they'll sit far enough back for the bar to take the impact. So let's measure up and draw it up and cut it, and let's get into it. All right, there's our two spotty brackets cut out of that bit of steel. Cleaned them up on the flapper disc. Got a looks to be 3-hole mount system. So I'll mark these plates out, chuck a couple of pilot holes in them, and get them in the drill press. It's pretty simple to mark that out. Just got the rubber pads that sit between the lights and the bracket. Shoved them on there, scribed them out with a pen. So I'll mark across here, mark some center points, and get them drilled out. All right, got those brackets all drilled out on the drill press. Got one sitting now. I want to sort of sit it level with this cutout in the bar here. Now I've done a quick measurement. I want this bracket to sit about 60mm off the inner edge of that upright, sort of give the light a good position there, and I'll square it up and level him out across there. But I've just had a look at the mounting kit, and Kings have only sent one bolt with each for each light. The brackets and the pads have all got 3 holes ready for 3 bolts. So I've just checked my stash and I haven't got any 10mm bolts in that length, so I'm gonna have to go to the shop and get some. Alright, there we go. Glued them in. Clean them back with the flapper a bit. Nice. There we go, nice and wide apart. Sitting in there. They just sort of stick out through the top there. Very happy with how that's come up. Should still have enough airflow there for the radiator. Looking good. Alright, so I've gone ahead and just made the little UHF aerial mount. Sort of similar style, just add a bit of 50mm gal. Cleaned up the back side of the bar here, so she'll sit just up in here. But I'll do that once the bar's back on the car so I can plumb it up, make it level so the aerial doesn't lean over, make it look nice and neat. Then she'll go get cleaned up with a flapper disc and coat of paint. We'll leave it there. Alright, just giving the bar and the brackets a bit of a touch up with some Kilrust matte black. Takes a few days to cure this paint, so while I'm in and out of the shed, I thought I might give it a chance to cure a bit. I'm going to get all the bar work powder coated at some point, probably early in the next year. Got to pull all the sliders off in the rear bar and the scrub rails and stuff and get it down to the local powder coaters, get it sandblasted and powder coated, just so it sort of neatens it up a bit more. Since the car's had a fresh paint job, all the bar work looks a bit sad, but we'll get there. But onto the mounts. So I went into town, picked up some new bolts, and further investigation, these bolts are actually 12mm. So they send out 2 12mm bolts to smash into there. So then what actually happens here, the 12mm goes in the center hole, but it won't go in the outer hole. So I've grabbed a few 10s, out of 10 laying around, here it is. There you go, so it'll be a 12mm center bolt and 2 10mm outer bolts for that adjustment. Give it a bit more strength and allow it to not to snap. I've seen a few things online where the people are mounting them just with the single 12mm bolt just through the middle here, and the actual bracket cracks down through the center. So hopefully it takes a bit of vibration out and doesn't fatigue the metal quite so much. Anyway, keep moving along. Next step, we'll get the bar back on the car and finish the UHF aerial mount up in here, and then get the lights on and get the thing wired up and have to take it for a test run. Check it out. All right, had a few days out of the shed. Christmas is come and gone. Summer in Australia, sweating. I've gone ahead and chucked the lights on. Needed the Sierra to do the run up to the in-laws Boxing Day celebrations. I've just chucked them on, thrown the bolts in. Got the single 12 in the middle, 2 10s on the side. In there snug. I still got to do a final adjustment on the lights once I wire them up. I've just got the plug-in sitting down over the top of the chassis at the moment, but 2 weeks in on the road, we were going so well. Developed a little axle seal leak. Found that this morning. It's not too bad, but I did drive it 50 k's home and it is quite wet under there, and it left a little puddle for me to clean up in the shed. So go ahead and clean that up. Went over it again, besides needing a good wash already. That's what a little bit of rain and living on a dirt road will do. Come round, I had the 60 litre angle in the back for the celebrations. Didn't want the beers to go cold, but definitely need a smaller fridge. Usually have the angle in the D-Max, but going to get a little 40 litre fridge to tuck in here. maybe build myself a little rack and some drawers to put some tools in. I'm gonna make up some covers for the insides of the back here to keep it nice and neat, and run some speakers. Haven't got a stereo in it yet, just been running the JBL speaker box. Seems to go okay, but everything else is going good. Got the wiring here still, haven't had a chance to chuck the wiring in. Got a few days coming up on holidays now, so we'll get cracking back into it and keep going on it. Okay, time to wire these lights up. Got the relay sort of sitting in place where I want it to sit against the airbox, or the original airbox mount back when it was a carby. Going to duck in there behind the battery. I'm going to have to extend the positive and negative lines up to the battery. As you can see, everything is very long. I'll be cutting, shutting it all, trimming it all back. See how much wires I can pull out of this thing. I've already gone ahead and shoved the adapter in, the switching off the back of the light, ready to go. So cut that in around here and shorten it up. All right, let's get into it. Right, got it all sitting in there. Mounted the relay. Got the wires coming in through the holders. Picking up the light switch. Got the headlights, the spotlight connections down in there. Shortened it right up. Still got the long lead here for the switch. I'll got a couple of switch positions in here near the air locker switch. I might even bring it over to this side. I've got an extra one down in here. Already got a hole out, so I might just cut him out, make it sit in there nicely. Off to the side. We'll get cracking on that. Okay. Got the switch in there, cut out the hole, shoved her in there nicely. Good stuff. All right, let's have a go at this. Oh, lights on. Hey, hey, look at that. This is the wiring I cut out to shorten it all up. I'll keep all that. That might come in handy somewhere. Happy days. Now all I got to do is tidy up the wiring. Just a couple of zip ties, clean it up, tie it against the chassis there, and that's an install. I'll do a quick little level up while it's sitting in the shed here. This shed slab's pretty level. I'll just run a little level across the front of these to plumb them up a bit. I've got got the Allen keys here to do the adjustment, but since I've gone and put them pretty well hard against the upright, this Allen key here fits, but the top one doesn't. So I'm gonna have to just shorten him up a bit on the grinder, but that's all right. But once she goes dark, get out there and have a look and see how they go. All right, finally night time. Let's go test these babies out. in the shed after that first little run around the block. Super happy with how these lights have turned out. Super bright. Very impressed, actually. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like the content, like and subscribe. We'll try and keep it up. Yoo!